Hello my friends, and welcome to Exotic channel. This is on commission. Today we have a cable on our bench, or pair of cables. So what are these? These are world best cables. I decided to get them in order to fill with my turntable cables, because in one of the videos you saw that I've actually, right during my video, I discovered that they are crap. So this is an attempt to replace my cables in the turntable. But before we do that, we can take a look what are those, and let's open this packaging up and see what we have. I'm not sure if this is anti-static packaging. It doesn't say, but clearly it is branded. Okay, so our cables, so as I mentioned, these are 2 cables by 3 feet each, so roughly 1 meter. We're gonna again measure the distance to be sure this is what it is. This little, it has a little pamphlet here. Attention! Please allow 175. What? Please allow 175 hours of burn-in time for optimal performance. It smells like a bullshit. What burn-in? Just a piece of copper cable. What kind of burn-in you're talking about? Are you guys passing like a gazillion of amperes here, or like high voltage for burn-in? It's like millivolts. What kind of burn-in you can have with millivolts? It's a joke. This burn-in does not have to be a continuous process. You may pause burn-in and continue when possible. If you don't like the cable after 175 burn-in time. Oh yeah, I definitely don't like the cable after 175 hours of burn-in of bullshit time. Okay, sorry guys, I'm a little bit kind of agitated here because I think this is garbage. Burn-in, man, whatever. Go away, burn-in. Okay, so these are cable. The Mogami cables, I'm not really familiar with them, but at my short time when I try to look into cables, after a short time between the video I shot with my Rega 3 turntable, during the shooting of the video, actually I figured out the cables are complete crap and I need to do something about it. So from that time till now, I did some little bit of research to figure out what cables are good, and I figured out there are some brands of cables which are considered to be decent for a decent amount of money. There are some good cables from Germany, which are actually very hard to get here because of the shipment. And they are actually not that cheap. So these were acceptable, as I mentioned, something like around the 30 Canadian dollars plus tax plus. And yes, I decided to get these. So looks like they are made of Mogami cable, which is made in Japan. So specs of the particular cable I'm going to list here, because turn out to be it's very important to have the right specs, especially one of the parameter which called capacitance. Capacitance of the cable is very important. There is also inductance of the cable. Each cable has capacitance, inductance, and resistance, and also impedance. So these are, yeah, there's way more parameters than that. But like for the purpose of I want to use it, these are probably the most important. Probably impedance doesn't really matter, and resistance as well. This kind of short distance, but here we are. So these are consist of Mogami cable, which actually this is the cable. It says, you know, you're gonna look into them, and Amphenol connectors, which are this. I definitely know this is good brand. So it's very decent connectors. Well, what other spec they are? So there's nothing here. I don't know what that really all stuff is. So Canare, I think, is one of other brand of cables, and there is much more cables. I guess this is what they use in their products. So let's just get this guys open. Very nice wrap here, and they are, well, it's not bad packaging. I like packaging wise, is good. Made with 4% silver solder. Okay, 4% silver. Okay, probably they want to say that this. It doesn't say where it's actually made. I'm not sure if it's made in US. World Best Cables, Coastal Highway, Delaware, USA. But it doesn't say they are made in USA, right? So that's the most important part of it. Yeah, this is good. So here we are. the cables themselves, yes, these are 3 feet are they 3 feet? Yeah, 3 feet cables, and both sides Amphenol connectors. Thing is, in my particular case, I do not need both sides of connectors, so I need only one side. I'm curious if this is unscrewable somehow. I hope it is, because I don't want to cut it. Yeah, so I have to figure this out if I can get into it, and probably this is unscrewable. Yes. Yeah, okay, here we're gonna look at the internal construction of the cable. Okay, so here we are. The connector itself actually is pretty good. Well done. This is well crimped. Even actually melted a bit to not slip away. It's actually very... yeah, I think it's well done here. Soldering job is okay. But for me, I would have to unsolder this one and solder it straight to the turntable. Okay, so this is why I would like to have disassemblable cable, disassemblable connector. And this can be used for something else. Another option, if I would take a 6 feet, maybe that was the good idea, like this, and cut it in half. I would have 2 cables, but I don't have 2 turntables. Well, I actually have some turntables, but that's gonna be a video on its own. So what can we do with those cables right now? Like, we don't have much of a possibility to measure, like, you know, well, we can measure resistance, but there's no point to measure resistance because it's going to be low no matter what. I can try measure capacitance because of the promised capacitance, but again, I don't have a really nice tool to measure capacitance. I can give it a shot with my multimeter I have. Alright, so this guy here is my recent acquisition for a decent amount of money, and this gentleman has capacitance range. So okay. So oh, it's temperature capacitance. This is capacitance. Like, what the hell? So capacitance of the cable. What is capacitance of this particular cable? The capacitance is capacitance between this conductor and the shield. Okay, so this is the capacitance of the cable. So every cable has a capacitance between something and something, because this has an insulator. So there is a core, insulator, and the shield. So between the core and the shield should be some sort of capacitance. Also, should be some sort of inductance. You can try to measure inductance, but in this case, it probably doesn't even matter. But capacitance matters. So what do we have? For this kind of distance of the cable, we have capacitance of I'm not sure if this is really true or what, but it clearly some specific number it actually measures. Yeah, 0.15 nanofarads. Okay, 0.15 nanofarads. Okay, let's try the red one. .16 nanofarads. And just like for giggles, I'll get some other cables to see what their capacitance is. So here we are. So these are monoprice cables. They are actually nice cables, but they are super stiff. That's why I don't really like them to use them. Yeah. Okay, let's see capacitance here. It's even lower, but capacitance is lower when the cable is lower, so this makes sense to have lower capacitance. Makes sense. But these are only 1 feet, I think. Okay, let's try these guys. This is just like whatever available I have. Okay, look at this. Number is completely, it's like 2 times higher. Interesting. Higher capacitance. So clearly there is some kind of correlation. And this one is probably as long as this guy. Yeah, no, it's a bit shorter. So it's a bit shorter. Okay. So this is what we have. So let me see the specs for this cable to see what our findings are in comparison to what they claimed, because I mean I'm not claiming this is the proper measurement tool and technique for this particular cable, but at least we have a correlation. So these cables are showing this is higher capacitance, this is lower capacitance per length, particular length of this guy. So capacitance measurements aside, let's do some width or length measurements. Okay. So these guys are, sorry for the noises, precisely 1 meter long, including the connectors obviously. So they're a bit longer than 3 feet. So yeah, that's correct. Distance is correct. So let's talk for a second again about the capacity here. I'm gonna tell you something. That measurement, what I've done, was probably useless. Just take a look at this particular case. So do you see these numbers? So this is just capacity of these leads. So properly measuring a capacity of the whole system would be taking account the capacity of these leads as well. So for example, if we are measuring here 100, if you measure here 177 picofarad, so because these are picofarad, right? So 0.1 nanofarad, this is like 100 picofarad. So and so the capacity of the system looks like is 120 picofarad, right? Okay, so if you measure additional capacity of these guys, we're gonna get 172 picofarad. So if you subtract one from another, you get what your leftover is roughly 60 picofarad here about, which is actually directly corresponds to the listed capacity in the specification for these leads. So looks like our multimeter actually can measure somewhat can measure the capacity of these leads, and we roughly get the number. And obviously measuring capacity will give us some relative numbers when you measure some other connectors, cables. Okay, so we're gonna remove these cables. I think we've done this capacity here. Looks like our capacity is what is expected, which is actually pretty good. So let's talk about cables themselves. So they are pretty flexible, which is actually pretty cool. I'm not sure what exact material. I think this is not a silicone, but it is like nice feeling to that. And obviously, look at this. It has 75 ohm, but this is impedance. This is not the resistance. It's impedance of the cable itself at specific frequency. And the cable is 2964 Mogami. So 2964 is the model of the cable. Okay, Mogami is the brand, and then there is 75 ohm high definition audio video cable, and then it's going to repeat all over again. So it's pretty flexible cable, and the cable thickness is, I think it's supposed to be like 4 something. Let's zero it. Yes, it's 0. Okay, so 4.8 millimeters or something to this extent, right? Which is not bad. I would honestly want them to be a little bit thinner for my liking, because this is a little bit too thick. Plus also I would actually prefer those two cables to be like this together, like, you know, molded together, be like one piece like this, because it's easier to deal with it, but otherwise this will make them a bit stiffer. So yeah, the connectors themselves are pretty good. I like them a lot. Oh, really nice. Let me kind of open this again. Oh, very interesting. This one has this. Okay, this one had the sleeve over here. I think another one didn't. Or was I crazy? Oh, I see. I guess it got lifted. Oh, okay. Okay, so all of them has the sleeve have the sleeve, but the sleeve just getting lifted. Okay, so let's just take close-up video. So let's just examine a little bit closer what we have here. So this is the soldering job, how it's done. I think it's not too bad. Probably I would do about the same or maybe worse. So this is good soldering job, pretty good. So this strain relief is actually not just crimped here, but also slightly melted. I don't know if they done by purpose, but just keeping soldering iron for a bit here. Okay. What I do not understand, if there is electrical contact between this and that, that's very important. Let me double check that, because it's obviously very nice to have electrical contact over here, like this is to use this thing as a shield. Otherwise it doesn't make sense, because this little part here would be nice to have completely shielded. Otherwise it's not much of exposure, but still, like, it would be nice to shield that. Okay, let me take a multimeter again. I thought I'm gonna done with this, but no, I'm not done with multimeter. Okay, let me just screw that back on. Yeah, it has electrical contact. So yeah, that's good. That's great. So this thing is shielded as well. So these connectors are really nice. So cable itself, as you see, it has this white core. So this is not just a wire, you know, central wire insulation and the shield, right? So this thing is a specific thickness of specific material, which makes the whole cable of particular impedance. So this cable is actually suitable, a 75 ohm cable, so it would be suitable for video and, for example, signals similar to what we have you used to have in old coax network cable. So these are of the same construction or similar construction. Also, high frequency radio signals would be sent using this similar 50 ohm or 75 ohm impedance cable, depending on your obviously equipment. Okay, so these cables seems to be really good. It honestly, believe me guys, doesn't really make sense right now putting into the using this equipment, because I mean, it would work. I'm pretty sure 100% all of them would work perfectly, because there is nothing wrong here. As long as there is a proper electrical connection, as long as there is a proper shielding, this cable would work. What most important, that it has proper impedance, proper capacity, obviously proper resistance, not high resistance, and proper shielding, and that would be perfectly working. So another test I would like to do is to actually take the cable and try it with the female connector here, and it looks like the connection is actually very nice. The only thing what I noticed, after I unscrew this cable, it actually unscrews itself. So it would be nice to do actually nicely kind of tighten this, and now it's gonna be all right. So yeah, connection is very nice, very nice. I like it. Yep. And they are not too thick. Look, they're not too thick, so the distance between them is decent, because sometimes these guys can be very thick because they're made of plastic. In order to make them robust, they make them a little bit thicker. So in this case, when they are thick, they cannot go together. You know, this is very important. So these guys are sometime here. Yeah, you see, this distance is actually pretty close in here. But this case, it works very well because they're made of metal, they're pretty robust, and they're not too thick. Let me actually measure the diameter of here, 13 millimeters. So the thickest part is 13.5 millimeter. Yeah, it's very important. Just in case you are planning to use them, this is very important parameter. If you have a lot of RCA connector on the back of your equipment, and when you like jam a lot of them, they may not fit properly. So this is very important. Alright, I think I have to do a conclusion here, because not much I can speak of anymore about these cables. I think I like them. I'm definitely going to use them. Maybe at the beginning I'll try to use them as just a regular RCA. For example, from the cassette deck to the amplifier to see how they perform. Again, as I mentioned before, I'm pretty sure they'll be working pretty fine, because replacement cables in my Riga planner, that's going to be a whole video on its own, and I have to prepare for that and understand what needed to be done, because I never actually played with turntables, didn't replace anything, didn't take it apart. So that's going to be a very interesting video for me and very interesting experience, I hope, as well for you. And for just about the cables, I think they are pretty good. Connectors are very nice, cables are very nice and flexible. I like them. The only thing, as I mentioned, I would like to have them a little bit thinner, let's say 3.5 millimeters or something to this extent. Otherwise, this is very nice, flexible, feel very nice in your hands. They have some weight to it, they have some heft to it, to them, and they go over the RCA female part very nicely. So very snug and good and high quality connection. So yeah, I think I definitely recommend these cables. Obviously time will tell how they perform, but so far what I see here, from the aesthetic standpoint and from the mechanical standpoint, they would be pretty much working no problem. So guys, at this note, I would like to say, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like, comment, share. Definitely stay tuned for more videos. Stay safe and ciao.